You always use that active when like defending.
I think it's like
people deluded. I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man.
Come on, Ian, right? And with an introduction like that, what more can I say other than people deluded? I'm back again. Appreciative of all of you lot tuned in. Smash the like button, etc., etc. And let's get into it. Get into it, really and truly, people. Let's see what the latest talking points regarding the football club we love. We are the Arsenal. Hopefully we make some great signings in the summer, but let's humor ourselves. Now, I'm pretty sure you've all seen in the last emerging hours, allegedly, Liverpool have pulled out of the race to sign Jude Bellingham. Again, there's going to be many twists and turns, bumps and bruises. We don't know what's happening, what's not happening. Jude Bellingham is a player that everybody and their nan's going to want. You can imagine Manchester City and the law of Pep Guardiola. You can imagine Liverpool are out or in the race. We don't know. Chelsea have the resources, and it makes sense to go for him. Man United tried to get him when he went to Dortmund. I don't know what their finances is saying, but historically, Man United have money, have been spending money. Can't imagine they get into that. Paris Saint-Germain indirectly. I don't think Arsenal will go for it because I think it's going to be too costly. As you can see here, it says 135 million people that Liverpool deem is far too expensive. Now, that has nothing to do with Arsenal, but when you consider that, he's probably going to, if he did sign for Arsenal, have to be one of the top earners at the football club, people. Probably eclipsing what Saka and, well, especially what Saka is allegedly getting, and obviously probably what Jesus is getting. Now, Bellingham would pay for itself. He's a marquee signing. He's going to get better. When you think of the England national team, you obviously think of little Chile Bukayo Saka, you think of Phil Foden, potentially Jack Grealish, and also Jude Bellingham. And obviously on the football pitch, it says it all, people. He would pay for himself. He would grow with the emerging squad that we've got. I just think when you consider that, the true cost is probably 200 or maybe more than that. And that's probably too much for Arsenal to bet on a 19-year-old who, as great as he is still learning, and wherever he goes is going to be heavily more scrutinized. I'm pretty sure he was in for a lot of criticism, for example, in Dortmund's defeat at Chelsea's place at Stamford Bridge. If it could be done, I'd all be for it. And obviously, Real Madrid can't be ruled out. And what you actually can't rule out, in my opinion, with Jude Bellingham is that he simply stays at the club he's at. You know, he's got a good thing going for him at Dortmund. I'm not sure where they are in the Bundesliga, but potentially they probably will be in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. We need to remember in the summer of next year, there is a Euros to consider. So it might be worth not just him, but several players staying put, doing what they're doing, and then the rest will take care of itself. And I'm sure Dortmund would like that because he might even add more to his price tag, even though they're in for a pretty penny. As I always say, the dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. I'd love for Jude Bellingham to sign for the carpet. I can't see it happening, but that's that, people. Away from that, and probably the last time until something of significance happens with Bellingham, allegedly Leipzig are interested in him in relation to a potential replacement for soon-to-be Chelsea's Christopher Nkunku. A bit like we heard Leo are interested in Bellingham to potentially replace Jonathan David, who could be sold. He has also been linked with the two Italian giants, Milan giants in Inter and AC, Villarreal, Marseille, Monaco. Reims haven't ruled out it's potentially going for him again, and several other clubs. And you know what, if Arsenal could sell him for 25, 30, 40 million, 50 million quid for someone that's barely scratched the surface at the first team, it would make sense, people. Allegedly, he has a 25 million euros price tag, so take into consideration whatever you want to do. But Philip Haynes, I believe, a TV reporter on Sky Sports Germany, has said, people, Leipzig is actually dealing with Bellingham. There's great competition and a high transfer fee, parallels with Jonathan David. And again, Bellingham carries resale value, so we'll have to watch that. You know, I don't want to sell Bellingham, but potentially if it's a means to an end, you sell him, you put that towards, you know, addressing centre mid, potentially right back, potentially left back if Tierney leaves. Who knows? It, you know, maybe even Arteta wants to go for another forward of a different profile, more physical player. You know, definitely when we took Jesus off in the second half against Liverpool, we'd have loved to have had someone when our backs were against the wall, is up against the cosh, and we just simply needed to hit it long and needed someone that could actually threaten Konate and Van Dijk in a physical sense, really, and just allow us to go up further and further up the field like you saw Jesus was doing. That's not Trossard's skill set. He can do the false nine thing. When the game calls for a more traditional number 9, that's not him, is it? So we potentially do need that. We would have loved to have actually had Eddie Nketiah fit really for that second half against Liverpool, but injuries happen. So that's in relation to Balogun. People, smash the like button if you haven't. Helped the channel grow. Apparently Baku is on Arsenal's shortlist and could be available for 15 million euros. You know, I'm not too sure on his abilities to play in the back four, but I've seen him play in the back three, and he is quite an attacking right fullback. So potentially that's where those rumours come from. And generally Arsenal are looking at a right back. Fresnadar was the one we was linked with prior. That hasn't quite transpired at the moment. So yeah, we'll have to watch that space. Away from that, again, check out the previous vid. We've covered Ryan Gravenberch, people, but allegedly in relation to Gravenberch, Arsenal are admirers of him. We'll have to see what Tommy Tuchel is going to do with him. At this moment in time, I'm sure you saw Manchester City 3, Bayern Munich 0. Gravenberch with nowhere to be seen. Obviously, it's tough for an 18 or so year old to really make his mark at Bayern Munich. It's a significant jump up. Similar to Jude Bellingham, it would make sense for the exact same reasons. He'd probably be cheaper. He'd probably want a decent wage, but it's probably more feasible and more affordable. And if Bayern Munich do want to sell someone with their best years in front, fair play. Let's get it done, really and truly. Away from that, I only bring this up because Declan Rice is drawing interest from Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester United. Allegedly, West Ham will target Calvin Phillips, who probably could depart Manchester City, or Conor Gallagher should Declan Rice move on this summer. As we know, he's speculated to be moving on. He's contracted until 2024 at the West Ham London Stadium with the option of another year. Hopefully, you know, West Ham stay up, you know, for his sake, so he can leave in the right way, helping the club stay up as a heroic captain and then seeking pastures new. If West Ham were to go down, where relegation, I don't think they will, but West Ham relegation is in front of them, that's a real possibility. Obviously, his transfer fee would make a lot more sense. As it said here, Rice has long been tipped for a move to a Champions League club, with links to the likes of leaders Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester United seemingly strongest ahead of the summer transfer window. As we saw in January, people, I know it's very different, but Mudryk, João Felix, Cody Gakpo, for all the times they were linked with certain clubs, where did they end up? So we never know how close or how far deals are or aren't from being done. We'll never know, which is why, you know, smash the like button. I always say, if nothing more, is talking points. And as I always say, the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately, people. So we'll have to see in relation to Declan Rice. Again, some of you think Arsenal are going for Milinkovic-Savic. Allegedly, we did place an offer last summer for him. It didn't come to anything. As you know, like Declan Rice, he is contracted until 2024 himself. Allegedly, Lazio plan to offer him a fresh 4-year deal to fend off interest in Newcastle, but the midfielder looks set to snub the offer, insisting we'll talk about it at the end of the season. Again, you can't rule out things. We have heard he wants to leave through the front door. There was rumours he'd actually sign a new deal with a gentleman's agreement so that Lazio could get a fee. For him, he has to push, you know, because obviously 28 years of age, you've got your best years in front of you. But the more, you know, the more he's going to be a free agent and the wages he seeks, the older you get, clubs might shop elsewhere. You know, I think he's a great player and it's different, but we've indirectly been linked with Jude Bellingham. We've been linked with Ryan Gravenberch. Obviously, you know, Caicedo, Declan Rice, people that are going to potentially line up in midfield, whether they exactly like him or not, there's more longevity. So him and his agent are probably going to be pressing Lazio to move on. And if you're an English club or anyone else, you know, you might say, do you know what? I like him, but I'd rather spend money on other targets. And then we'll, you know, he probably won't sign a new deal 6 months from the summer of 2023. You can obviously agree an indirect deal in January for him, people, to join the following summer, which would be 2024. So he would be eligible to play in the 2024-25 season. So we'll have to see, people. Lazio have left it late. Far cry from when we was quoted allegedly 120 million plus euros for Sergio Milinkovic-Savic, the 28-year-old Serbian international. But for what it's worth, according to reports in Italy, people, the proposed deal for the Lazio man has been put on the table and includes a wage increase to 3.5 million quid a year, 4 million euros per season, plus bonuses, and includes a 52.5, 60 million pound release clause, which you're probably not going to go and do that unless, you know, you want to really, and you're really, really convinced. He also has drawn interest from AC Milan, who are allegedly offering several players in the swap deal. He's historically been linked with Juventus, Newcastle, Arsenal, actually Paris Saint-Germain as well. If you could bring him, as I've said before, people. So we'll have to see. Apparently, it says it claims Arsenal would like to gift themselves a new midfielder in the summer should they go on and lift the Premier League. Regardless, we need to. Newcastle have been in direct contact with his agent, people. Again, he could move to Newcastle. It'd be exciting to see him and Bruno Guimaraes. Obviously, Newcastle are doing great things. They're going to be playing in European football, but the agent could be leveraging Newcastle's interest, like ours and anyone else's, to get a better deal out of Lazio or to get a move to a club that hasn't been listed. There's a lot of games being played, people. So we'll have to see. Apparently, Kesman stated in August that his client would not join a club without Champions League football, which is why he rejected a move to Arsenal or Newcastle last summer. Well, we got it now. You didn't want to starve with us, so why should you sit at the table? And where you look at the top six, you know, only 4 teams until something changes can qualify. And I think that's a reality for not just Arsenal, you know, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, historically. City, the only one you could probably say, if it continues like this year in, year out, regardless, they will be as part of the 4-man representatives of English clubs in that competition. So if he joins us or anyone else, and that goes for all players, you have to be adjusted to the fact of the Premier League has become a top 6. It'll be a top 10 soon, and maybe 30, 40 years from now, every team from 1st to 20th could win the league, qualify for the champs, or equally get relegated, people, as the riches in the game grow and grow and grow, people. Reece Nelson has drawn interest from Brighton, allegedly, as well, people. Again, there's talk of he actually might fancy a move over there. The 23-year-old apparently is also in talks to sign a new deal at Arsenal, but as you know, his deal is up at the end of the summer, so a decision will have to be made. In relation to players existing at the club, apparently Saliba is still absent from training, but good news is Eddie Nketiah has returned. We need our players back. I would have loved to have had Saliba, El Nene, Tomiyasu, Eddie Nketiah all to see out that second half against Liverpool. Unfortunately, injuries are part and parcel, and we have to get up with it, really and truly. Apparently, Saliba remains a doubt for Arsenal's clash against West Ham on Sunday, but Eddie Nketiah could make his comeback, at least on the bench. You hope so, people. We need to protect our players. So, yeah, the 23-year-old will be hopeful he can be involved in West Ham's trip on Sunday, but if not, he should definitely be back for the return with Southampton. And obviously, Nketiah puts competition and leverages, you know, we need the good form of Trossard, Saka, and Martinelli to continue, or there's another player who might get a look in. And the sooner Saliba is back, the better, people. But, you know, we have to be very careful with him. Keeping up the theme with the Premier League, Chelsea and the Chelsea fixture against Arsenal has been moved to a Tuesday, people. Spare a thought for the 9-to-5ers and people who already have the tickets. Apparently, this change it's been changed to the 2nd of May, kicking off at 8 p.m. now. This change has unfortunately been made after working to try find a solution with the Met Police and our safety advisory group. We are disappointed with the impact and disruption this fixture change will cause to our supporters, particularly after this match had been initially approved for a Saturday evening kickoff. So again, from Saturday to Tuesday, that's quite the difference, people. And by the tone of this, Arsenal are not happy, are they, really and truly? So you're going to have to see what's going on. Apparently, you know, the game's been moved. So that's all I really have to speak to you lot about, people. So yeah, please let me know your thoughts, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I'll see you lot soon. Stay blessed, take care of yourself. Appreciative of you lot tuning in.
There's always that active and defending.
I think it's like